My name is TS Sudhir and you're watching Study with Sudhir. As you know, this is your digital classroom. Now, much of India has opened up in the last couple of months, in the months of June and July. However, there are a few critical sectors that remain shut and you pretty much know which ones they are. Railways, the metro rail service in big cities, schools and colleges, cinema theatres and buses in cities. Now, these are seen as high risk arenas and the government is obviously thinking many times over before deciding to unlock these particular sectors. Now, the difference between railways, cinema theatres, metro rail, bus services and educational institutions is that while the government can decide by itself, at least in the case of the first four, and things will kind of fall in place, in the case of educational institutions, schools, colleges, universities, it needs to take into account what the different stakeholders have to say. And when I say stakeholders, I mean students, I mean parents, I mean school and college managements, right? So all of them have to be on board before such a decision can be taken. And so far, the mood among parents is that with everyday cases above 60,000 in the entire country, it's just too risky to send their children to school or to colleges. In fact, we had done a story, a video based on an Economic Times report about 3 weeks ago. And if you see the comment section, you would get a sense of what India is thinking like, that a majority of the students and the parents extremely wary of going to school in this kind of a risky health environment. In fact, it's not just the parents, even the teachers would be a little cautious and a little apprehensive about going back to the classroom in a hurry. So therefore, it seems that as of now, the Unlock 4 guidelines, which are likely to be announced anytime before the 31st of August, may not include the educational institutions. Those are the indications coming from the central government. The only state that has said that it will reopen its schools is Andhra Pradesh, which mind you reports a very high number of cases on a daily basis. But Andhra Pradesh has said on the 5th of September, the schools will reopen. Though private schools in Andhra Pradesh have registered their protest, they have asked the government to reconsider the decision and allow them to continue with the online classes. The Economic Times report also, let me clarify, it did not say that all the schools are going to reopen on the 1st of September. It said that between 1st of September and 15th of November, that is a 2.5 month period, is when this entire reopening process is likely to take place. Now, as far as the center is concerned, what is the reason why schools are not likely, as of now, from all indications available so far, why is it that they are not likely to be part of the Unlock 4 guidelines? And I have these reasons to give. Now, even if schools are opened, the center will need to convince all state governments and school managements and thereafter the parents that it is indeed safe to reopen the schools. Right now, that process does not seem possible. Reason number 2 is that in most urban centers, at least, even if physical classes are not on, at least in most private schools, if not all government schools, at least in private schools, the online education is indeed taking place. Yes, it's not a perfect model. No one is saying it's a perfect model. Students are not entirely happy. There are problems of screen fatigue. Teachers have also been kind of struggling to adapt to the mode of digital education. But the feeling is that something is better than nothing, especially when at least it takes care of the safety aspect. So the opinion is that the center can probably wait for another month or two. Third reason is that as far as the school students in the rural areas are concerned, yes, there is definitely a gap. In fact, in many states, there are reports of students going to the fields in the rural areas instead of, since they are not going to school in any case. So in that sense, there is the risk of high dropout rate in 2020-21, and also students may not return to school when the schools finally reopen. So there is an attempt being made to integrate children from the rural areas to the learning process through the Doordarshan TV channels, but that would be easier said than done. And that will definitely remain a point of concern. But the related point is that even if schools are reopened right now, it will actually create more of an issue for students from not so economically well off backgrounds, because they will have to rely on public transport. So the public transport will have to be reopened as well, and that will only increase the risk factor for all these students. The threat of infection will then be much more real, and India can hardly afford any kind of experimentation right now. Now, some states like Maharashtra have already talked of pushing the academic calendar to January 2021. So, if the CBSE, the ICSE and the different state boards in the country also do the same, that will give much needed cushion time to all the school managements, the state governments and the union government, and none of them need to be in a tearing hurry to reopen the schools, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the situation may just be much better by the time the new year comes. So the time now is really to be safe than sorry, and the government should do well to explore different digital education avenues. That has to be the priority of the education ministry. What they can do for a beginning is to actually co-opt a number of quality YouTubers and YouTube channels which are invested in the entire education process for school students as well as for college students, so that the burden on school teachers can be considerably reduced. Without actually wanting to sound immodest, I can tell you that many students who are subscribers of Study with Sudhir have told me that their school teachers have suggested video lessons from geography, history, civics, English grammar, English literature, which are published on Study with Sudhir channel, and ask the students to refer to those videos so that that portion of the syllabus can be covered. If the same can be done for various other subjects, you would realize that the burden on school teachers, especially in semi-urban, semi-rural, rural areas where there would be a gap, that can actually be kind of covered with the help of different YouTube channels, which at least do not call for appointment viewing, in that sense that between 9 and 12 is only when you can listen to particular lectures. They can actually listen to these lectures on YouTube channels any time of the day and night, because remember, this year is going to be a lot about self-study. The student who is able to successfully manage self-study will be the student who will end up doing academically better than his or her peers. So the process of collaboration is actually what is needed, and that will be at absolutely nil cost to the schools, and that can be done for different subjects. So that's my suggestion to different schools who cannot afford equipment, laptops, cameras and the other accessories in order to be able to impart quality digital education. Number two is that even if the schools do get reopened, whenever they reopen, the entire system will have to be tweaked in order to ensure social distancing and also ensure all safety protocols are in place. So schools will need time to adjust to the new normal. Until such time, let the mobile phone, let the laptop, let the television set be the classroom. At least it will ensure that coronavirus does not mark attendance among the generation next. Thank you very much for watching.